and
welcome to the Horizon Channel.
That was good.
Got there at the end.
Right, okay, that breaks the ice. Right,
Sound.
After that really cheesy intro, we are Horizon Property Group. We're a full wraparound 360-degree property company. That's how we describe ourselves. The business started in 2018 on a bit of an ad hoc basis. We kind of all fell into place working with each other. And the business has grown since then. We work with property investors from around the world. That's what the business has really been geared towards. In 2018, we started doing it ad hoc, as I say, but come over the following months and into 2019, we realised that between the three of us, we had a really unique and strong skill set that gave us a really strong and unique business proposition, particularly working on behalf of property investors, given our respective backgrounds. So what we'll do is we'll give you an introduction to ourselves, our personal backgrounds, our personal experience, and what it contributes to the business. And then we'll also give you a bit of an introduction to the business as a whole as we move forward. Are you okay with that?
Perfect.
Yeah, spot on. So, my name's Denis. Background in financial services, been a mortgage broker since about 2018. Always worked in different aspects of finance. Actually been involved in property since 2006, 2007, which was very early days and I was very young then and probably didn't appreciate it for what it was. Came back to property in 2013, 2014 when I started working in financial services, working with buy-to-let investors and helping them build their portfolios. Over a number of years since that time, I actually moved away from doing residential mortgages and got more interested and more focused on specialist lending, and the specialist lending was gearing me more towards limited company lending and buy-to-let lending and development finance and things like that. More so because it was more personal interest to me. They're the kind of projects that I wanted to pursue, but was more interested in them in a business sense. Through that direction of travel, started building a client base of professional landlords and professional investors, and really that's how us three came to work with each other. I started running Martin and Chris's remortgages on some of their properties while they were building their portfolios, and we became friends and we got chatting, and over a period of time we were meeting frequently, chatting frequently, and came working with each other on a regular basis, and really from that's how the business was formed.
Yeah.
Over you.
Go on, Chris.
My name's Chris Bunn, one of the directors at Horizon Property Group. I became to know Denis, it must have been about 2017, 2018, was it? Roughly, thereabouts. I'd just exited a marketing company, so I'd sold off sort of full ownership and shares in a marketing company that I'd built up over a number of years. I had an NDA, so I had like a non-compete at the time. Couldn't sort of operate in the same industry. Didn't know really what to do with the sort of pot of money that I was sat on from a business sale. Dabbled my feet into property. I've watched Homes Under the Hammer, and I think, like probably a lot of people in property, growing up, it was, it looks good on the TV. That they certainly know how to make it look appealing. Dabbled my foot in. Obviously, knew Denis through sort of certain circles in the northeast. He did the underwriting and sort of sorted out the finance, the brokering on my first deal, and then from there we sort of really clicked off. And we started chatting a lot about sort of property sourcing. I think that was sort of the initial formation of our business in the early days. Was effectively sort of an initial property sourcing company, and it's certainly grew legs since. I remember back in the day when obviously Martin was doing our refurbs initially. He was sort of head project manager, head refurb for us back in the early days.
Yeah.
Got too much for you. The business grew at a pace we weren't expecting, and we made a lot of changes back then, which helped streamline things. Martin got sucked into doing our refurbs because he was doing his own. We knew he was capable. Electrician by trade.
Yeah. So I'm Martin McManus. I'm one of the directors of Horizon Property Group as well. My background, as Denis said there, is I'm an electrician by trade. Always worked as an electrician since I left school. Mainly on the industrial chemical sites, and then towards the end of my electrical career working offshore. Got got sick of being away from the wife and the little one at the time, so I always wanted to get into property from a young age, even before Holmes and the Hammer, when I watched Sarah Beanie's Property Ladder back in the day. Still got a book somewhere. Always had an interest in property, and I said to the wife, I said, well, if I'm going to come back home, because she wanted me to stop working away, I said, I'm going to start getting into property, do my own properties, and that's something I wanted to do. So I made that jump. I was on a decent money working away, but knew that I couldn't do that for the rest of my life. So I made the commitment and stopped working away and set up my own properties. So the first property I spoke with Denis, that's how I met Denis, back in 2018, and Denis sorted my mortgage out for one of my first buy-to-lets. I started doing that, doing my own refurbs, getting trades in, lads that I knew, plasterers, painters, whatnot, plumbers. Started doing my own projects, got them in, and then after I started doing a few of them, just buy, refinance, refurbish, refinance, a couple of them, then spoke with Chris and Denis about the properties they had when they were doing a bit of property sourcing, and with the refurbs. So I jumped onto doing theirs, carrying out the works and doing the project management. And then it got to a level pretty quickly that I couldn't sustain and they couldn't sustain, and they just come round and throw me some keys and say, oh, go and do that one for me, go and do that one for me. And it got to a point where I couldn't physically do the work and project manage and sort all the trades and materials and money and all that type of stuff by myself. So we had a conversation, didn't we? And then basically you were looking for someone to do it full time. I was looking to be part of something bigger. So that's when I joined the company, which was obviously back then Goldcrest, prior to Horizon, wasn't it? Which was just more of a sourcing company. And then since then, we've just grew and grew and grew, really, haven't we? We've done our own developments, we've done projects for people all over the world, and now we're at, 30 plus staff?
Not 40,
nearly 40 staff, and we just keep growing on a daily basis.
Yeah. The three of us coming together was the perfect fit.
Just good synergy, wasn't it?
Perfect synergy, yeah. Like, absolutely. It was like when we were we weren't actually intending to grow the business, not to the business.
Not to the level that,
not to the scale it's at now, and not to the scale it got to over the years. But the three of us working together was unique because we each had a very particular part in the process. Like, I was very front end, dealing with the clients, putting the investment strategy together, running the finance, looking at the structure, and really, putting that kind of things into play. Chris was on the ground, constantly viewing, sourcing, finding the deals, putting together so that us two were backwards and forwards on the client side, and then packaging it up and giving it to Martin, and then seeing the refurb through. And it was just rinse and repeat. Client coming at the front end, we find the property, we finance it, we refurb it, we refinance it, we go again. And back then, we were doing, when we used to knock about around Thornaby and Stockton, place like that, we were doing 2 or 3 houses on the same street at a time.
Yeah.
That was a different world, wasn't it? Because we were picking up houses for 45,000, 50,000 then.
Yeah. Rates were ridiculously low.
Yeah.
You look at the landscape of where the property market was then, and it's miles away, sort of thing. Rates were rock bottom, house prices were rock bottom. And it is that sort of cliche saying of when's the best time to buy yesterday? You look at some of the price of stuff we were sourcing then, and you'd snatch them up. If you got offered one of them at those prices now, you'd be like, I'll have that.
And people will still snap them up now. If you look at Stratton Streets and all them, we were picking them up for 45 grand and the 70 grand now. Yeah, it's crazy. So we have seen, we've been through the whole process ourselves. Like Martin said, we've done a lot of developments ourselves over the last few years, like our own projects, of all kinds of scales, from houses, light refurbs, up to some quite large developments, which we'll show you over time. And we've just, when you actually said the other day, didn't you? I wonder how many properties we've refurbed on behalf of clients. Yeah. We don't know.
We've lost count, haven't we?
Yeah, we've lost count. But the total cumulative value of those properties will run into millions and millions. We know that. And the value of the business, that the value and the some metric that's come through our business over the years, that runs into millions as well, really, in the grand scheme of things. At least hundreds of thousands anyway in the early days. So, yeah.
Yeah, the business grew off the back of that, really, because we obviously didn't offer sales and lettings at the time, did we?
No.
But we were doing these properties, doing them up, spending all the time, getting really good properties, then actually lining some tenants up as well.
Yeah.
and then handing it over to another letting agent. And it was like we were losing that in touch, really, weren't we? Obviously, our clients wanted us to be able to do everything. So the business actually grew off the back of that again, didn't it, when we opened the actual shop?
I think the thing with that, though, is we were effectively giving a letting agent a 3-course meal on a plate, and we weren't even getting as much of a thank you as such. We weren't really getting any sort of, there wasn't so much kickbacks. It was almost just like we were just feeding a letting agent, a conveyor belt, and losing client relationships. And then I think that's when we had the discussion of like, is there a natural progression from here of right? We want more deals in, we want more leads in at the front end. Where does that come from? An estate agency. That's the natural sort of source of.
It was COVID, wasn't it? COVID knocked us.
Yeah.
Like a lot of businesses, COVID put the brakes on. Moving into COVID, we had a really, really, really healthy pipeline. A lot of properties in legals. We had a lot of refurbs started part way through that we then couldn't get materials for. We had a lot of stock flowing through at that time as well. We were very active working with other agents, and obviously coming into lockdown just stopped everything. And when we started coming out of lockdown, and the property market started opening up, because I think it stopped, didn't it go? Stopped for like 3 months, didn't it?
Yeah, the initial lockdown, wasn't it? Everything stopped, didn't it? And then obviously off the back of that,
and then we couldn't compete because bounce back loans were an issue. Everybody down south had got bounce back loans and wanted to come up north and buy £50,000 houses and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, all these deals that we've been finding for years on behalf of the clients were gone, and we'd lost control of the process. And like Chris said, a conversation between ourselves was saying, where do we go from here, and what do we actually do? And the only way to recover from the process was to take control of our own destiny, and that led us to then forming the estate agency, and the estate agency give us our supply of our own stock, but also then plugged in the lettings management. So from a business perspective, we then literally had everything covered. We had the estate agency at the front end, bringing the stock in, the lettings management aspect at the back end, managing the properties, the finance side, the refurb side, and everything's kind of come together. And like I said, and it's from that we then went from the 3 of us to 5 of us to 6 of us, and then it's just and it's escalated over that time.
Like you said, it's. You look back to sort of what was that 2019, and I think there was 2 members of staff in the office along with the 3 of us directors. And you look at it now, and like you said, we're closing in on 40 members of staff on payroll. So that sort of that 6-year period, when you zoom out, the growth is incredible. To sort of plot that on a chart from sort of 3 to closing in on 40 on payroll is incredible growth.
When we went on Rightmove and everything as well, so obviously. We had a lot of experience working with solicitors and working with other estate agencies and everything else, but obviously we'd never actually fully been an estate agent ourselves. We were just a sourcing company. But when we made the migration, it took us about 3 months to transition into that until we were comfortable to fully go live. And we rebranded as Horizon and everything else. And we were still working at home. Martin, he was out on the tools all day, running the jobs, 5 or 6 refurbs on whatever we had at any one time. Chris was at home working in his kitchen, and I was at home working in my loft. And you'd go all day without speaking to each other. But when we went on Rightmove and Zoopla as an estate agency, and we started getting valuation requests in for people that wanted to sell houses, so I would be at home ringing all these valuation requests and booking valuations in. Chris would be putting his suit on and smart clothes and his fancy coat and going out and seeing people.
The thing is, though, our conversion rate was through the roof.
Sky high, like unbelievable.
We should start consulting for other valuers.
Should do really.
The Denis and Chris show. You close them on the phone, I'll close them in the door.
He's not joking. It was ridiculous. Our conversion rate was unbelievable. And at the time, what's happened actually back then, because we were saying no names, when we went on Rightmove and started pulling stock in, but then started flipping it around and putting properties on to sell, we ended up acquiring a few clients at that time that had got tired of working with other agents in the area. But we got told back then by a few people, experienced people as well, you've got a totally fresh, unique approach that we've never seen before through any other agency locally. And that was, when was that? That was 4 years ago. Yeah. And those people are still clients of ours now. They still buy through us, they still sell through us. And, it's long-standing relationships. We used to get the valuation requests in, I'd ring them, but then when we started putting the properties for sale on Rightmove and Zoopla and getting people coming in wanting to buy, we'd go 4 or 5 hours of just constant frantic phone calls, and we'd touch base at 4:30, 5 o'clock at the end of the day and say what the actual hell went on there. It was just like a whirlwind, a blur of chaos. And at that point we said, look, we need to take charge of this. And we open the agency. We do it properly. We go on the high street and we get some staff in, and we start structuring it. Yeah. And that's what we did.
Yeah. And that was our first dabble in a commercial, our personal commercial business, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
property.
I think it's like you said, they say things align for a reason. Everything sort of falls into place. We'd just taken a commercial conversion. We'd converted the uppers to effectively like an Airbnb, like a service accommodation unit on the uppers. The ground floor, we were pretty much closing on the refurb, about to put it out for a sort of a commercial let. And that was just at about the same time where we were ramping up on the sourcing and dabbling in the agency, and said, we need somewhere on the high street, and that was, it's like
perfect,
middle of town centre.
Well, we were going to take an office, weren't we? We were looking at an office in Preston Farm somewhere, and Martin rang me and said, why are we going with this office that's in the middle of a business park when we've got premises there right on the main junction, like entrance point into Middlesbrough town centre on the high street. So their unit was ideal. So we said, right, we'll jump into this, and from an entrance point, anyone coming in and out of Middlesbrough town centre along Borough Road would immediately see the estate agency. It's a perfect location.
Yeah.
It served as well for a couple of years, 3 years. It served as well. But like you said, with the size of the operation we're running now, we needed to change. We needed something much bigger. Yeah. I mean,
we wasn't at the seams where we couldn't fit in there.
Yeah. You look at the size of the car park that we've got in this current place now, and we're almost outgrowing this. Yeah. Which is crazy to think.
Yeah. When we got to a point of like growing the team, we took a branch manager on. Overseeing the estate agency and evaluations, and we were still having to work remotely. We got to a point where we couldn't actually all fit in the office. So whilst Martin was out on the ground, Chris working between the office and home, Charlotte, who you'll meet in time, is our investor relations manager. She used to work in the estate agency doing evaluations and sales, but Charlotte and myself were spending all day every day working in the restaurant at the Jewellery's in Middlesbrough town centre, because there wasn't the space for us in the office. And we spent months trying to find a commercial premises that could accommodate us all with parking and storage and sufficient office space and everything else. And then that led us to the premises that we're in now, which we'll give you a tour of at some point. Then obviously you can see the wider team. And we're actually in the process of buying this building. So the long-term aspect for us is we've got a permanent location in the town centre in a building that we own. We're refurbing it as we go, and it fits perfect. It's just what we do day in, day out, really.
I think that sort of that really does touch on what you said before, though, about it's a fresh approach to a estate agency, and the difference being is we're in property and we understand it, and I think that's what like a lot of the more experienced, like the property investors were noticing, was if they're having a call with me or you, they weren't speaking to a random member of staff that was picking up the phone in the estate agency that didn't actually understand some of the questions that were thrown at them. Yeah, totally. When we were coming on the front foot and answering all those questions, I think it sort of took people by surprise quite a bit. Yeah. And like I said, that sort of led to a bit of a quick growth. Yeah. And a lot of quick wins with sort of the investor side of the business.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because, we are actively practicing day in, day out. We're doing commercials, we're doing option agreements.
We can all relate, can't we? Because we're all doing it. We're all doing our own projects, and we are investors and they're investors. Yeah. We see it from an investor point of view as well, don't we?
Yeah. You're right in what you say there as well. Like, everything, standard purchases, complicated purchases, lease options, option agreements, deferred considerations. Like, we've probably literally done everything like over a number of years now. So, we can give first-hand experience to people, and we can guide people through the process quite easily. And whilst we have the estate agency on one side doing standard residential sales, like home movers, first-time buyers, upsizes and things like that, which runs well in the background, we also have a very investment focused proposition going on the other side, but becomes more of a property broker approach mentality rather than just a sales agency, where effectively you're brokering a deal between two people. You've got a sensible buyer and a sensible vendor, and you just need to put them together to make the deal work. And through that process of identifying what people were looking for, we took a bit of an approach as well, didn't we? The cheesy cliche of we'd only promote and sell a property that we'd happily invest in ourselves, and that's been something we stood by for a long time. There's a lot of companies out there that will just sell a property, take a fee, and don't really care about the aftermath of where the property is and how it's going to run and whether the rent comes in and things like that. But we've taken a different approach, because ultimately now we've got the lettings agency and the corporate management SA side of the business as well. we really we want to be managing every property that we sell. So
Yeah.
if we're going to manage the property, we don't want to manage a headache. So it needs to fit for us as much as it needs to fit for the client as well. So it needs to fit for everyone. Client benefit, tenant benefit, and us as a management company.
So, I mean, clients just know that they're getting a proper service, don't they? They know that if they're getting the hand held through the process, we're going to pinpoint them to, a good area. It's going to be something that we'd buy ourselves, and they're not going to be left sort of holding a dead weight, really. Yeah, that's sort of a big testament. Because like you said, there is sourcing companies, when you look at it, it's like sourcing brokering companies out there that will, just like you said, he's a house in the Collieries, I'll put a fee on it, and I'll sell it. I don't care where it is. He's something on 11th Street, 12th Street. I'll put whatever fee on it. But it's money in the bank. Yeah, it's money in the bank. You might not see your rent or anything like that, but whereas with ourselves, we sort of set that out on day one to differentiate and make sure it would be something that we would invest in our portfolio.
Yeah, it's about relationships, isn't it, with the investors? Like you say, building long-term relationships with the investors. We're not here just for a one-off. We're here.
Partnership, isn't it?
It's a partnership.
Partnership approach. That's the mentality behind it.
And it's funny because I remember back in, I think it was early 2018, there was a lot of people then sort of similar time as us competing and all sort of starting out, and you look around now and there's nobody like still existing.
It's gone.
And I remember us saying, like, in 5 years' time, I wonder who's still about. We were focused, we knew fine well where we wanted to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
We had like a roadmap and we're still following it and we're still sort of on that roadmap.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see the people that were on the same roadmap back then aren't about anymore.
Yeah.
They've just completely vanished off social media. They've vanished off the face of the property scene. They were there for a quick sort of quick dime back then. They got the money and they've dipped and went into something else.
2021 we started doing the property exhibitions down London as well. So early days when we were building our client bank, Chris and myself would go down to London, hit networking events like Canary Wharf, Pin, Kensington Knightsbridge, things like that. We had clients down there already, but we'd go down and find new clients and ultimately meet people that wanted to invest in the North East. So we expanded on that by initially committing to one exhibition, which was the National Landlord Show, Old Billingsgate in London. So that'll be the first one. I can't remember them having the masks on, like. It must have been right early on.
Clear as day.
Yeah. So we did that, and it was transformational for our business, really. We met good people at that show and some good clients that we still work with now, speak to. And like Martin says, it's a partnership approach because ultimately we become friends with people. And, if I think that was 2021, it's 2024 now, we're still working with those guys. And we're, friends, chat with them, go for a beer, get food when we see them. A couple of people come up and see us every month or two, get an update on the properties and so on and so forth. But the National Landlord Show worked well for us, and we got a significant response from people who were down south wanting some exposure to the North East, and we didn't really expect the response we got, really. So then we did the next one. We did the Property Investor Show, which is the 2-day event at the Excel, and that worked really well. So we just continued after that. So now, in 3 years in, we're a regular on that scene and well known in the scene as well. Got some really good relationships down there from people who've seen us doing show after show after show, whether it be industry contacts, industry professionals, clients, potential clients, referring partners, tax partners, things like that. And that's really been a significant growth for our business as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's putting the reps in though, as daft as it sounds, isn't it? It's like, for the last 3 years, we've been there every show. Like, you have your start in the spring, your summer, your winter, like they've sort of 3-4 shows per event a year. So we're down there maybe 7-8 times a year. And if you think of that times 3, so you're doing the best part of like 30 shows. Every time we're showing up there and the same person's going around every show and seeing us, it becomes like a repetition thing, and all of a sudden they're going, well, hang on, they've not sort of done one show and vanished.
Well, the first year was a loss for us, wasn't it? With all the show costs and the travel costs and the expo costs and everything else. So it had to be resilient to ride it out.
It's crazy. Like I said, the show costs now, like, we pay quite a bit for the shows, but we've got, it's more just client relationship as well, isn't it? We're going down there, we're meeting clients, we're sort of putting ourselves out there, saying, look, we're still here. You can trust us. We're still here. We're doing a lot of client meetings. You look at when me and you used to go down on the train. You'd pay for the train ticket. We'd have a couple of beers. We'd go to one of the PIN events or one of the progressive events, and get the train back. That was our expenses.
Yeah.
It was, 2 lads, a couple of beers, some food, and back. There was not, I don't even think we were doing hotels then. I think we were just literally like there.
We did do hotels because you got the hotel with a room that overlooks the runway, and he still does that now.
Is that London City Airport?
Yeah.
Exposed here, like. London City Airport is a fantastic airport. It's a great one. If you go to the Excel show,
it's perfect location.
It's a good location. Yeah. But no, like the expenses then, like you said, it was at best maybe you got a cheap travel lodge overlooking the airport, but you had a couple of beers, trains there and back. You a couple of £100. Whereas now, when you're taking sort of, including those 3 directors, you're taking another 3 staff, so you've got 6 people down there. Hotel for a couple of days, all the food, the drink, hosting clients, show costs, and you've got like seminars, podcasts, all bits and bobs. Yeah. You can be running into some sort of significant costs. But it just shows the growth that we've came over
It's all investment, all investment for us, isn't it? Like I say, we're investing into the people exposure to see us, like and trust and all that type of stuff, and then obviously they come up here, see our operation, show them the area, and help them build the portfolio hands off, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So at the minute in the northeast, like Teesside in particular where we're based, but Teesside and the northeast as a whole is going through a massive growth phase, and there's obviously driven by the levelling up agenda, but it really is like there's a massive amount of projects going on and massive amounts of regeneration, which is driving investment at every level into the region. Where we are in Middlesbrough Town Centre, we've got the Teesworks project, which is the Freeport. That's going on just a couple of miles down the road from us. That's a 4,500 acre site. We started banging that drum in 2021 when we went to the Expo, making people aware in London of what was happening and what was about to happen. But now we're going to London and people already know what's happening. People are there and they already know what's happening in Teesside before we've even spoken to them. So it's become, the awareness for that nationally is quite impressive, really. And then you've got Darlington with the Treasury HQ, you've got Sunderland with the film studio and like the new city centre layout and everything else. So there's all these things happening which are making the North East a really attractive place for people to invest from a property perspective. So like Martin says, whichever avenue a client comes from, expo, client referral, either through a website, wherever it might be, we generally invite them to come up. So people will come up, see us, meet the team, have a look around the area, see the infrastructure, see some properties and see some projects. And really it's an opportunity for us to get to know each other and see if it's a fit and make sure it's a fit for us to work with each other. You're going to speak to each other frequently. We drive a lot of investment into the region off the back of that. You've got some quite high net worth clients that are buying multiple properties. Like one of our clients will buy 10 properties, invest in 10 properties this year. They're probably all worth £150,000 each, thereabouts, and with good rental income as well. And that's just one person. If you multiply that a few times over, so we're driving a lot of investment into the region, but equally it's bringing a lot of investment into our business. And the clients need to trust us as much as we need to know we can work with each other. So once we go through that introduction process and get to know each other, tends to be quite seamless, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, clients come up, speak to them, put a plan together.
Yeah.
Which route they want to go down, help them out, help buy some buy-to-let, service accommodation, whatever it is they want, commercial conversions.
Yeah.
Obviously, I get a plan put together. Then obviously, my team look after the refurb, get the refurb done. And it gets passed across to Chris's team to let it and manage it back end, and then we go again, don't we?
Yeah, and back to the start and do the refinance.
Yeah.
So over the coming days and weeks, we're going to give you more insight and introduction to the business as a whole. You'll get the opportunity to meet most of our staff members, particularly the ones that are happy to come on camera and have a chat about their background, their experience, and what they bring to the business. And then you'll see some projects, see some of the properties the projects that we're running, varying scales, see the locations we're working in, take you to past projects as well, things that we've done over the years. Like the £45,000 houses that are now worth 70,000, we can show you them, and going back to that, what we the whole like the last few years, and the investment and the growth across the region. When we used to go to London and promote the business, we were trying to drill a message into people then, weren't we? That there was going to be a big growth in the northeast. It's what we call the investment transition. So the southeast and London has had massive growth over the years, like capital growth, like phenomenal really. but then it's gone up the west corridor. You've had like Bristol, Birmingham, into the northwest, Liverpool, Manchester. It's all had it. The region that didn't have it was the northeast, and we were telling people back then, now's the time to buy because you're going to get good yields, you're going to get capital growth, and the point's proven because it's happened right in front of us, and we've seen it happen with the properties that we sourced. But that doesn't mean now's not a good time to enter the market. Like Chris said, it's time in the market rather than time in the market. So at whatever point you enter, you're going to get a good return, and you're going to get good capital growth, and your money's going to work well for you. And take our guidance, you're going to end up with a good investment that works for you long term. But over the period of coming days and weeks with some of these videos, we'll give you the background and we'll show you what we've done and and what the benefits been for the business and for other people as well. And hopefully you get some clear insight off that.
Well, if you're still here after all that,
I like the energy you bring.
Seriously, if you're interested and you like what you hear and you're interested in the story and you want to know and find out more, it's probably is worth keeping in touch and staying tuned, because we're going to be delivering a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of company background, and really just showing you what we're all about.
So, Dennis, how do we get in touch?
I don't know. Ask Chris.
Chris, how do we get in touch?
Everyone asks Chris. Chris, what do we do?
So follow us on socials. You've got Horizon Sales and Lettings, Horizon Stays, Horizon Property Pro, TikTok channel, Instagram, LinkedIn. Obviously a lot of content coming out on LinkedIn, and then obviously the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you soon. Cheers. I was trying to hold it.